At least 96 people have now been declared dead in a series of blasts in a Shiite Muslim stronghold in Baghdad in the deadliest assault on civilians this year. The majority killed in an attack by suicide bombers on a funeral in a densely populated Shiite neighborhood of Sadr City in the country's capital. When security forces and medics arrived at the scene, another explosion went off. According to police, 2 hours later, another car bomb blast struck a commercial street nearby, leaving 9 more dead. And for more analysis on the current situation in Iraq, I'm joined live by anti-war activist Richard Becker from the Answer Coalition. So this is the deadliest attack since the start of the year, one of the largest attacks in years. Why do you think sectarian violence continues to increase in Iraq?
Well, thank you. The fundamental problem, the fundamental issue here is really still, and fundamental cause of the ongoing violence in Iraq is the U.S. invasion and occupation, which tore Iraqi society apart, and in which, at the time of the occupation, the U.S. Occupiers favored certain groups in the population against others, promoted certain groups in the population against others, demolished the state that existed, demolished the entire government, and said, in its place, we are going to give you something new and better, democratic and wonderful. And in fact, the tearing apart of Iraqi society back in 2003 is still reaping the kind of consequences that we saw, the horrible consequences that we saw today in Iraq. And I think that it's the responsibility for this, the blame for this, has never been attributed in the mainstream media in the United States to those who are responsible, and that is those who created this war, the Bush administration and all of its agents.
Well, with no group having claimed responsibility for these attacks, why do you think the assailants are hoping to achieve with the assaults?
Well, I think that there appears to be a continuity of interest between those who carried out the attacks today and those who are trying to destroy the government in Syria, who are trying to bring down the government and who operate under the name of the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant. And I think it's quite clear that their aspiration is to create a new state under very reactionary and backward laws enforced by means of terror, and that if they had their way, they would like to create this state that would include the whole region, or as much of the region as they could secure control over.
Now, since the withdrawal of U.S. troops from Iraq, sectarian violence has risen. Do you think the pullout was maybe premature?
Well, no. I think that the occupation was what was the crime, the real crime here. And that invasion and occupation was a violation of international law. It was not only illegal, it was unjust, it was a crime against the people there. It was actually a crime against the people in the United States as well. There was no justification for it. It was a war that was carried out completely on false pretenses, not based on faulty intelligence. Faulty intelligence idea is just a myth. And those who are responsible, and I would say this, that Bush, Cheney, Powell, Rice, all of them are guilty of the ongoing deaths that we continue to see in the tragedy of Iraq.
The Shia-led government in recent weeks has launched a campaign called the Revenge for Martyrs, arresting hundreds of alleged al-Qaeda members in Baghdad. What consequences do you think that could have?
Well, I think that to pursue the policy in this way, the government in Iraq is not a progressive government, and I think that what the forces who carried out the attacks today and many other attacks, and they're not the only ones carrying out attacks, so they're happening from both sides in this conflict. What they're hoping for, what they're seeking is an all-out civil war in which they hope that they will be able to prevail and create the kind of society that they want to create.
Richard Becker from the Answer Coalition, thanks for your time.